It is the MattyDaddy, your fantasy football coach extraordinaire. NFTDraft taking over the game, the future of fantasy sports. And I am here to help you set your lineup today. We're going to talk lineup construction, the do's and don'ts. We're going to talk fantasy football point scoring by position, so nobody is left in the dark. We have a lot to cover, but a lot of good content for today's show. Before we get started, I just wanted to tip of the hat to the Discord community, the NFTDraft community. Everybody on social media has been very welcoming for the MattyDaddy. So thank you to you guys. You're the reason for the season. We have so much to cover, but I just wanted to say thank you because I am learning leaps and bounds about this game, about wax, just different things. I would say 3 weeks ago, I had no idea what I was jumping into, but the best community I've been part of. So thank you for just keeping on. Keep on keeping on. So let's get going. Let's talk lineups, guys. 10 cards. We got to start a quarterback. We got to start a kicker. Got to start one. You can start two. Wait, so 10 cards, and I got to start a quarterback and a defense or kicker or my defense kicker card? Yup, but that's it. So wait a minute. 10 cards and 2 of them are you have to? Yeah. 2 cards with 8 cards of freedom. Flexibility? Oh, yeah. I like flexibility. Anyways, 10 cards, 1 quarterback minimum, 2 quarterbacks max. Quarterbacks are crucial. You're going to want those QB1 cards. You're going to want to start a quarterback. Hey, you might even want your backup. This is a position that gives points in bunches. So make sure you have your quarterback card. Make sure you are starting 1 quarterback in your lineup. You'll want to be in these tournaments. They're free. And then you can even sponsor the Joe Smo Invitational. Hey, Joe Smo, what about the MattyDaddy Invitational? Oh, yeah, the Bearded Brothers Invitational, the Mario 64 Invitational. You name it, we're doing it. NFTDraft, baby. I am pumped to be part of this community. Lineups, though. Before I get off topic, you're starting 1, but you can start 2. So you have 2 stud quarterbacks. Please play them. Defense, kicker. I'd probably want to start the defense over the kicker, but if you give me a defense and kicker card, ooh, that's yum-yums, baby. That's a hot buy. So start your kickers, start your defense, start your quarterback. 1 minimum, 2 max. That leaves a lot of flexibility, anywhere from 6 to 8 spots. You can stack up on RBs. You can stack up on receivers, tight ends. That's your ballpark. You get the flexibility to make that call. So as far as lineups go, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. We are a community. We help each other. We grow together. But 1 quarterback, 1 defense, 1 kicker. Pick your spots, but those are the minimums. So we've got that down pat. You have the flexibility to set the perfect lineup you want every week. Just pay attention to the rules, baby, because that'll keep you in the safe zone. Keep you, hey, $15,000 is a lot of money, and I like money, honey. Let's keep it going, man. Let's talk quarterbacks. The quarterback position. This is a spicy piece of the pie. We're talking passing touchdowns. I've seen 4-point passing touchdown leagues, 6 points. 4 points is the safe spot. That means every time your quarterback on your team throws a touchdown, you're getting 4 points minimum. 25 passing yards, you get a point. 300-yard passing games, you get 3 points. You throw an interception, you get -1. So that's something you really got to pay attention to. Also, you had, I think last year, out of the top 10 quarterbacks, 5 quarterbacks ran the ball. So something else to pay attention to. Scrambling quarterbacks are like a cheat code in fantasy football. 6 points for rushing touchdowns. For every 10 yards they rush, they get a point. That's a lot. Sometimes it's easier to do a 10-yard rush on 1 quarterback sneak or draw than it is to get a 25 yards in the passing down in 1 drive. So just something to look out for. Of course, 100-yard rushing games, plus 3 points. You'll notice Arizona's quarterback, Baltimore's quarterback, QB1s, they run a lot. So those are two cards that you might want to look out for. Granted, they're not going to pass for as much volume, but who knows? Arizona quarterback, that might be one to keep your eye on. If anybody doesn't know who Arizona's quarterback is, Kyler Murray. He's young, great dynasty asset, great card asset. One to keep your eye on. But as far as quarterback play goes, not a ton of difference between QB1 to QB10. You'll notice at these positions, it's not a big drop off till you get to a couple. But quarterback one was Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. He had around 490, 500 points. That's what he's projected for, where Tampa Bay QB1 is projected right at 400, 410. So you're looking at a 100-point difference over a 17, 16-game season. That's minute. Just think about it. It's a couple points a game. But my words of recommendation for quarterback play, if you can get one of those scrambling quarterbacks like Buffalo's QB1, Baltimore's QB1, a card probably to hang on to. If not, work the work. 4-point passing touchdown can be productive if you have a Tampa Bay quarterback who's going to throw 40 to 50 touchdowns every year. Obviously, Kansas City's QB1, you'll kind of notice a repetitive style with Kansas City. They're just good everywhere. So something to kind of keep out for. Quarterback play is a must. Like we said, 4-point passing touchdowns. 25 passing yards equals 1 point. You get a 300-yard passing game. You get 3 extra points on top of the yards you've already put up. And then, of course, the only no-no, interceptions, -1. The good news, if your quarterback gets sacked, you're not getting punished for it. And that's huge. In some leagues, they'll take anywhere from -2 to -3. So that just makes the quarterback position that more meaningful in your starting lineup. Little things to look out for. Like I said, rushing quarterbacks are a must. Accuracy, that's where the interceptions are dialed down. So don't worry too much about your quarterback play. But at the same time, if you can lock up one of these studs, you're going to be in a good spot, baby. Let's keep it going, though. Let's talk receivers. Everybody loves PPR leagues. We all love them. We all want to be part of them. Receiving touchdowns are 6 points. You'll notice anytime anybody scores a touchdown, you're getting points for it. 6 points. Awesome. Receivers are one of my favorite positions because it's so easy to get points in bunches. A receiver on routes, every time they catch a pass, they get a point. Every time they run a route, they get points. So for yardage, you get 10 yards, you get a point. Anything below that is 0.2 yards or 0.2 for 2 yards, et cetera, et cetera. So receivers are one of the best kept secrets in fantasy football because they're high volume players, catch a lot of passes, run a lot of routes. The game of American football is a pass-heavy league, something to kind of keep your eye out. And then, like I said, scoring could be anywhere. You have the wide receiver 10 last year. Minnesota's receiver 2 put up 256 points. You know what that equaled out to? That was the RB6 in fantasy football, Indianapolis RB1. So you're telling me I could have Minnesota's wide receiver 2, and he could score just as many points as a RB1 in fantasy? Yeah, that's where the receiver, it's almost like a cheat code because there's probably 40 to 50 to 60 receivers out there that can put up buku games where your running back position, you have 10 elite, maybe 15, about 25 to 30, it starts dropping off kind of drastically. So something else to keep in mind. But receivers, this is a position you're going to want to start a lot of, in my opinion. Excuse me for the cough. I've got the black lung pop. Not really. Back to receivers, though, man. They run the ball. You'll see St. Louis's receivers with the big injury. Not St. Louis. Los Angeles Rams receivers, they run the ball. You saw the big injury at running back. They were already running. So this is another thing to look out for. With the receiver position, they do jet sweeps. end arounds, things like that. But for the most part, this is one of the safest positions in football. Let's talk about a volatile position. The tight end, kind of same scoring, 100-yard receiving, they get an extra 3 points. For every 10 yards, they get a point. It's PPR scoring. They get 1 point per reception. Tight ends rarely run the ball. You'll notice a couple different tight ends to look out for. Maybe Jacksonville's tight end might be tight end 1, might be tight end 2, might be their goal line back. So another little tricky start-sit thing to kind of keep in mind. It's all strategy. But your top tight ends are going to be beasts. And once you get to 10, it falls off a cliff, baby. So you get the Kansas City tight end 1. You get a couple different ones. Those are going to be your league winners. Definitely a position you're going to have to stream week in and week out, pick matchups. You'll notice defenses, tight ends, kickers. You'll want to play the matchup. If you have multiple kickers, multiple tight ends, multiple positions in your card deck, you'll want to play the matchups. Just my opinion, unless you have an elite tight end. But same scoring as receivers, PPR leagues. Always think points per reception. 1 point per pass caught. 1 point for every 10 yards they catch the ball and run. So just good little things. 6 points for every touchdown. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Tight ends, receivers, quarterbacks. Let's keep the good times going, baby. Let's talk the boom, boom, pow. We're talking defenses. Yeah. This is a lot to cover, a lot to unpack. A lot going on here, guys. Your defense is going to be scoring a lot of points, so you can still see me. Sacks, you get a point. Interceptions, +2. Fumble recoveries, +2. Defenses can score touchdowns. Defenses win championships. Great thing everybody always says. But here's another one. It's also going to be kind of your downfall. Because some of these defenses aren't going to score a lot of points. There's a lot of bad defenses. When you have such a high pass volume league, you're going to run into a lot of defenses that are going to be on the field, tired, worn out, not putting up points in bunches. So that's something you got to look out for. For instance, you kind of see, I'll let y'all kind of read the chart here. You get points for everything on defense, but you also lose points for the more points you allow. As you can see, -1 for 20, what is it, +30, you get -4. Goodness gracious. It is going to be a climb out of the hill if you pick the wrong defense. So sometimes it means a lot, sometimes it means nothing. But for instance, last year, week 1, the number 1 defense, the Ravens, they were at home. They scored 18 points. The number 2 defense, the Steelers, on the road against the Giants, scored 7 points. So that's why I always say I'm playing the defense in the home matchup, home field advantage. You got the crowd getting into it, different little aspects of the game to look out for. So defense, another one of those. Just be careful. Pay attention throughout the week to injuries, to matchups, to home field positions, everything like that. Things you're going to want to take into advice. Let's get back to it. Kickers, easy one to cover, man. Kickers are everywhere. It's really hard to predict which kicker is going to be a stud and which one's not. But just like defense, take weather conditions into consideration. They got a strong leg. Baltimore's kicker 1, kicks over 50-yard field goals all the time. So you see that extra 5 points so that could win you some weeks picking the right kicker. Another one to kind of consider. To me, kickers, it's a dart throw. You've noticed in fantasy football, everybody hates the kicker position because it's hard to predict. You'll end up winning and losing some by picking the wrong kicker. Don't get flustered. If you do have a kicker and it's working, just start it. Don't spend too much time worrying about your kicker. But bad weather conditions, wind, things like that to take into consideration. But you're getting points for almost any kind of field goal. The farther back it goes, the more points you get. But you also have to realize every time a team scores a touchdown, I'd say about 90% of the time they're kicking an extra point. So that's one extra point for your kicker. And then as I said, the kicker defense, that's your trump card, baby. That's one of those you're going to want to lock and load every time. Before I get to running backs, let's talk extras, man. Got a little bit of everybody there. Punt, kickoff, field goal, return for touchdown, 6 points. Just think of it like this. Anytime somebody scores a touchdown, somebody's getting points for it. And it's always going to be 6 points. Fumble lost, -1 point. 2-point conversions, you get 2 points. Offensive fumble recovery for a touchdown. That's a tricky one. If the offensive line dies on the ball and scores it, you're not getting the points. But any other skill position gets it, you're going to get the points. It's about as cut and dry. Touchdown, 6 points. Point PPR is what we're playing. 1 point per pass caught. For every 10 yards, you're getting a point. Things like that you have to consider. Like I said, defense can be a little bit more complex, but that's why you just attention to detail on defense, matchups, home field advantage, things like that. Quarterback play, 4 points passing, touchdown. You get points for rushing. A lot to consider here, guys. I'm not trying to overwhelm you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Quarterbacks, one last time so you can check over everything. Yep. Receivers, if it'll load. One of my favorite positions, down to the nitty-gritty. You'll love it. There's something else to keep a track of, but I love the points per reception. I love they score points in bunches. Tight ends, defense, and then last but not least, my favorite position. One of the most rare, but if you pick the right one, grazie. The cream of the crop, baby. Let's get to the RB, because I'm all in on the RB1s. Oh, baby, we have covered so much. You guys have been so patient with me. Let's get to the last position, last but not least. If you pick the right RB, if you get one of these top 5, one of these dime pieces, baby, you're going to be laughing yourself to the bank, because you're going to be making all that money week in and week out. So let's talk running back, man. RBs score a lot of points if they are elite, but there's some bottom ones you don't want a part of. So let's talk RBs. Every 10 yards rushing, quarterback hands the ball off to the RB, that's a point. You go over 100 yards, you get 3 points extra. These guys fall into the end zone quite a bit because they're on the goal line. Teams want to run on the ball the closer they get to the touchdown goal line area. A lot of RBs can catch up to 50 to 100 balls a year. So look out for that. Another kind of Konami code. Things to consider. RBs, like I said, we saw what happened with the Los Angeles Rams. RB1 injured. Guess who moved up the depth chart? RB2. So that position didn't really lose a lot. Some positions, if your RB1 gets hurt, it can be very bad for your team. That's where the offensive line, things like that, that pretty much controls the running back position more than anything else, is you have to have good quarterback play and a good offensive line. If you're lacking either one of those, it could end up being trouble. There's a very few, I think it was the top half of the league. If you had an RB1, they were on a good offense. There's a few, exceptions to that rule, but it doesn't happen often. So just think, running backs catch passes, that's a safe floor. If they're on the goal line and they're getting touchdowns, that's a good thing. Offensive line, there's a top 5 offensive line in the stats. Like I said, you can go anywhere and see these rankings. Good things to know, but that's why I'm going to be here, helping you out with that. I want a top 5 running back on my team, just as important as a top 5 quarterback. Receivers are important because there's like 50 good ones, and they all score points week in and week out. Tight ends, doing this is how deep a position is, how often the cliff is as far as points go, things like that. But the running back position is another one of my favorites. If I can have 2 stud RBs, lock it up. Oh, baby. Rushing yards, 10 rushing yards, 1 point. You get over 100, you get bonuses, baby. Rushing touchdown, 6 points. Oh, we're talking running backs. We've talked a lot, and I talked a lot. I want to thank you guys one last time. Next time we're talking, we've learned the basics. We're going to start setting lineups. We're going to play a little mock draft. Everybody loves a mock draft. They want to see me set some lineups, cash some checks, and break some necks. So that's what I'm going to do. Till next time, I am the MattyDaddy. Don't forget, get your cards September 10th, week 1. That's the first game, baby. We are so close. 44 days, August 12th, preseason pack sale starts. There's going to be so much going on. You are not going to want to miss any of it. Hat's going on backwards because we've been getting to work, and we're going to keep getting to work. I'm here for you guys. I'm part of your community. If there's anything at all, don't hesitate. We are a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. MattyDaddy, NFTDraft.io. Just keep on keeping on, baby. Until next time, as always, it has been a pleasure. Not a dancer. I'm a fantasy football analyst. My pleasure.